Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Iiyoshi. My material, I think the PowerPoint is not included in your handouts, but you can download from this URL. So if you're interested, please download my material. And also at the end of the presentation, we have this download URL included in the slides. That you can maybe photo or take a picture of this, or maybe just come to me during the break if you are interested in downloading it. And there have been already 2 presentations for the Kyoto University initiatives for blended learning. But now I'd like to talk about the Envisioning ICT-Enhanced Higher Education 2025. So I'd like to have 20 minutes for this topic. And first, this is the current status. We have the policy, education policy, and the social needs. As a background, we have global development. For example, the second point I'd like to highlight is the renovation of how we work and also the relearning. And this has been focused by the Japanese government. So in order to meet the needs of the society, those who have already graduated the education and working may want to learn something. And we have open and closed educational system, continuous quality assurance and improvement of them. MOOC, Spark, have been introduced as a topic in the previous presentations. MOOC is open and the Spark is closed. And we have OpenCourseWare as well. So they are in general called open education. And at the same time, our existing face-to-face class are conducted in a closed system. And open system and closed system need to interact for their evolution. And Dr. Pong and Dr. Lim will also touch upon these topics, and also Lee from the Beijing University and from the video will be talking about these topics as well, I believe. The 2025 is the year I have chosen, because it's not so far away, it's not too close. And for example, 2050, if you are talking about the 2050, you can say anything because it's far away. But 2020, if it's close, so I think you can be certain almost for what will be happening. But when it comes to 2025, which means 7 years from now, I think it will be interesting to think about what will happen in 2025. But now I'd like to take a look at 7 years ago. What about 7 years ago? So there is a new media consortium. There is a new media consortium, which is a consortium in the U.S. That work on the higher education and what will be important things technologically in the future. So I think every year there is a Horizon report. And now I'd like to take a look at the Horizon report into 2011 edition. The green, you see green circles like electric books or electric textbooks, I might say, and mobile computing, mobiles. So right now, the 7 years after this report was published, we see these the things have been already implemented and penetrated. And there are things that, for example, augmented reality, the game-based the reality, or these are not started to be used. Maybe some of the medical schools might have be using. And for example, gesture-based computing this is not penetrating at all. And there was the movie called The Minority Report, and you might remember the Tom Cruise displaying the gesture. And so 7 years ago, they thought that this is to be adopted in 4 or 5 years, but it's not penetrating at all, or not implementing at all. So there has been something that has been already adopted, and some it's not adopted at all. And actually 7 years ago, MOOC was about to debut. Dr. Salem, Introduction to AI, was the book he introduced, and it is started the MOOC initiative. So there was a tests of MOOC at that time. So that was the situation, and it's 7 years since the MOOC started, but over the past 7 years, there has been a dramatic increase. And this is the class central data. In the world, we have 78 million students, and maybe more students that are not shown in the data. And also that we have almost 10,000 courses, and 800 universities have been participating in MOOC. And since the start of the MOOC, we have the variety of subject areas in a constant manner. There is a balance. The practical and the subject like teaching or teaching the teacher or the nursing, these are the ones that require certificate. And we thought that maybe that would be the area that the MOOCs will be strong. However, the social science and the humanities, these areas have been also found to be popular as well. And this is another slide that you may be familiar with, because I often talk about this. So every 10 years, for example, in the 90s, it's called as E-decade. And because we have e-commerce, e-businesses, e-publishing, e-learnings. And we have platform for ease, and then it became open source, open system, open standards. And then open education started at the time. So, and also OpenCourseWare was the trigger for open education. And now 2018, so that means that we are approaching towards the end of the 2010s. And the C decade, that's arbitrarily the name of this decade, because there are so many collaboration, collectivity, communities, commons, cloud computing. So I found that there are many things happening around C. And so how about the 2020s? Again, I personally think that it's P decade. I think that there are the very important P's on the top: personalization, preference, and prediction. Because prediction, we have a big data analysis, so the prediction will be more accurate. And deep active learning is now popular. And so proactive means that you are seeing the future and try to react to the future, not on the spot or on the current basis, but I think you will be proactive, trying to see what will be happening in the future. So that's proactive. So I have reviewed what's happened and what's been happening, and then I'd like to look into 2025 now. So, of course, the existence of MOOC is important. MOOCs as building blocks for new academic credentials. So it's been 7 years after the launch of the MOOC, and it's happening now. As Professor Sakai talked about, MicroMaster is one of the examples. MIT and the many 20 other universities have been introduced MicroMaster. So the 1/3 or 50% of the credit can be embedded in this MicroMaster program. And edX professional certificate and Coursera has the specializations. Specialization focus on the specific or special technology or techniques like data service or Google IT Support Professional Certificate. If you take a look at the top one, it's specific for the specific company and the specifics for skill set. So there will be, for example, requirement for the completion of the course like this. And another example, specific example is in City, and the AI introductory course was introduced by the Dr. Slang in Stanford, and the nano degrees has been very popular. 53,000 learners have been already learning through this. The nano degree was taken by the 18,000 students already. So you might think that this is quite opportunistic. So which focus is focused on what? And for example, the self-driving car carrier, self-driving is popular, auto-driving is really popular right now, and there are nano degrees. Introduction of the self-driving, it's about $800 4-month course to get this an introduction course. And there is a 9-month one, 240,000 yen. And if you get this certificate, then, for example, Toyota, Nissan, and other automobile-owned non-automobile companies will likely to be interested in you when you try to recruit someone. So 2025, we will be seeing this trend in a more significant manner. That means that in addition to the existing degrees, the ad hoc degrees will become more popular. For example, auto drive technology and the career, 20 years later, maybe this specific topic may not be popular at all, and nobody may pay no attention to that. So there will be an expiration date to this type of degree. So I was thinking that this would be happening. And so we have the doctor, master, bachelor degrees, traditional degrees, and we have micro-credential, like a MicroMaster, nano degree, or specialization. And I think this can be compared to the traditional currency versus virtual currency. We have many topics around virtual currency or cryptocurrency, and this is not official currency. Official currencies is our traditional currencies endorsed by the government, but virtual currency may be able to be exchanged with a traditional currency with some certain exchange rate in the future. And that's happening now, actually. Of course, the exchange rate may be volatile, but anyway, this may be the scenario that we may go through, because traditional currency and the virtual currencies are existing together right now. So there will be a coexistence between the two different types of degrees or credentials. And this is the case of the Arizona State. The first year, freshman year of the year can be spent online. And this is example. First ones are the orientation, but the bottom one is the induction. So in total, we have 12 courses. And let's take a look at the cost. And the 3 credit hours cost $300, meaning that the $200 per credit hour. In this case of the course, 15 weeks. 50-week course, so that's the same as the face-to-face Japanese university course. And another ACU example, another course is this, $600, but this is self-paced. So that means the content will be the equivalent to 15 weeks. And if you want to work very hard, you can finish it within 2 weeks. So intensive course. So in a face-to-face course, you have the intensive course. And so this is similar to, this can be made into the similar to an intensive course. The MOOC version in the Arizona, if it's a face-to-face, one credit, $500 to $700 is the cost for one course in Arizona University. So if you take it with a MOOC, 50% or 1/3 of the cost is needed. So that means that you get the value for money. And another great value for money can be taken from this MicroMaster. So you start with the supply chain management of MIT is the first MicroMaster, and the cost is $1,200 only. So you can get the MicroMaster with this minimum cost. Supply chain management started by MIT, and if you go to the face-to-face, usually 7 million yen is needed to get this degree. But if it's a blended, combined with the MicroMaster, 4.2 million yen is needed. So that means actually you save 40% on master degree. But the degree itself, the value of the degree is the same. Even if the MicroMaster is included, MIT supply chain management value is not decreased. So because what you get is the same as a credential, unless you voluntarily talk about that. So this is my summary. The higher education 2025 will be less expensive and location and time free. In MIT, they have, for example, MicroMaster, but this MicroMaster of the supply chain management of MIT can be used for the other universities' master requirements. So you have the list of the university that says that it's okay to consider these MicroMaster credentials into their requirements. And in the Arizona State University, the credits that you gained from MOOC can be transferred to the credits of these universities. So the higher education 2025 will be more transferable and compatible. And lastly, when we talk about the blended learning, our idea is like this. We have face-to-face class and online course, online. And you have maybe the water and oil type of separation with face-to-face and online. But this will be blended. There will be no more separation in the future. Face-to-face, online will be overlapping like this, which means that as we talked about that in the International Symposium last time, inviting MINERVA people. And I think MINERVA is one of the advanced university when it comes to online class, and because they have maybe the 17 students or so have the online to see their faces, and you have the yellow, red, the green, and during the discussion, those who speak up most will be seen as red, and those who are quiet seen as green. So the instructor or the teacher can take a look at these colors, and he may want to point the student who is green, and this is better, and in that. And in the real classroom, we may not be able to see these colors if it's just the real face-to-face. So there is a back-end processing to feed back the participation status of the students. So actually the online technology will help you to have the more effective face-to-face class. So, and if we have the virtual reality and it's remote, but actually you see the students in front of you because it's a virtual reality, and then I think there will be a very blurred demarcation between online and classroom or face-to-face. And of course, you cannot underestimate the AI. And often you might have the image of the AI beating human or taking the job of a human being, but and actually when we talked about this and in TED as well, which was conducted in the next room, and actually the lifelong learning will be supported by AI. So the AI and the human being can collaborate together, and AI will help us. I think so. I just want to share this.
Perhaps you can try to make a short movie. I have learned what movies you have been watching through the on-demand movie rental services over the last 15 years. You seem to like action, science fiction, and comedy movies, and once in a while, serious dramas.
Well, I'm a bit worrying about my privacy here, but yeah, definitely these are kinds of movies I really like. But making one is very different, so it's tough what kind of movie I should make.
Queen to bishop 3, bishop takes queen, knight takes bishop, checkmate.
Are you playing chess with somebody, Valis?
Yes. Sorry, but I was getting a little bored while you were thinking. Have you ever seen your students playing with smartphones in your class?
Yes, of course, I have.
やめときますけど、作るのはえらい大変でですね。
This is very difficult to create this. It took many hours, and we had a TED and some audience said that the Kyoto University has a split system, and actually this is created with the PowerPoint, not a system that we have. But anyway, the AI, it has been already implemented for the tutor, for example. So the AI can work as a teaching assistant. So the human being is helped by the TL, which is actually an AI. A teaching assistant, and the teaching assistant can become a professor after he becomes the assistant professor, because AI learns and the AI grows. So I talked about the MINERVA case, and also the feedback is possible. So the higher education will be personally attended and informed and data rich and real time. And toward the 21st century, there will be a paradigm shift that can be summarized as these bullet points. Thank you very much for your listening.